Hello and welcome to another episode of Dungeon Master Corner. Today we'll be going through the actions of the Warhammer Fantasy game. Your turns are broken up into either taking a full action, you have two half actions, of course you also have your free actions, and we'll be going kind of outlining them as we go through. During your turn, as written in the book, you are allowed to take one attack action per round, and a character cannot take more than one cast action per turn, so meaning you could... Well, the way that it's written is that you can take an attack and a cast action, which just makes one reason why spellcasters are extraordinarily powerful. However, casting a spell every single turn could obviously lead you in a very dangerous spot. I was going to talk about magic this episode, but just kind of ran out of time, so this is a little quicker, a little faster for me. But next episode, we'll definitely be covering the ins and outs of how to cast spells and all the dangers it possesses. Okay, so actions. We're starting off with all the movement actions. There's going to be 5 in total. You have a move action, which is equal. You just move equal to your movement characteristic. It's a half action. It is a pretty easy way to kind of quickly move around, move short distances around in combat. It's pretty simple as it's any kind of basic move. Next, you'd have your stand and mount. You can either stand up or mount a horse. It's a half action. It's just simply just what it says. You get knocked down, you just stand up, you just spend half action to get back up on your feet. Now you can do a jump or a leap. It is a full round action. For leaps, you can do a run, which gives you your movement plus strength bonus. You will have to do a strength test to it. If you succeed, you do that. If you... every net success or net failure, which is when you roll 10 plus or minus your target number. So if you have a target of 50, you roll a 40, that's a net success. And if you rolled a 60, that's a net failure. You can add plus or minus a yard. And if it's without a running start, you'd be movement plus your strength bonus divided in half. Next, we have your run. I know most commonly people will start using this to cover great distances and battle. Which is actually not really what it's used for, because what it does is a full round action. You move 3 times your movement stat, but it gives everyone to hit you plus 20% and minus 20% for that round. So you're actually a lot easier to hit. So just keep that in mind when using that ability. It's a lot easier to use if you're actually running away from something. Next will be in disengage. It's a full round action. You move equal to your movement characteristic, just like move, but it protects no attack of opportunities. So if you try to move away from a melee encounter, you don't get attacked, which is nice. It doesn't get you very far. Obviously, if you start moving away, they can start charging you, getting bonuses to hit, so sometimes it's better to stick it out in the fight. But if you're able to move away and people are covering the line, you can move back, do what you need to do, and then either survive or just hopefully able to jump back into the fray. Next will be all of your attack actions. There's your standard attack, which is just a single attack based off your weapon characteristic. It's a half action. Starting off, most characters will only have one attack per round. So this is mostly what you'll be doing. There are a ton of other ways you can add bonuses to your attack. So it's always good to kind of use that in conjunction with those, which we'll be covering in a little bit. Next is your swift attack, which is I always found kind of misleading. It's a full round action, and you get a number of attacks equal to your attack characteristic. So if you can stand in one spot, you have an opponent in front of you, you can do a full round action, and so you have 2 attacks in your attack characteristic. You automatically get 2 attacks, but you have no way of modifying those attacks outside of yourself. Obviously, if they're prone or you're ganging up on someone, you'll get bonuses from there, but this is normally just a straight weapon skill test. Obviously, it's going to be a lot better than trying to aim an attack, which we'll get into aim in a little bit. So this is usually the best option to go if you're just looking for the best chances to hit anyone. Next is your guarded attack. You still get an attack, but with a -10 penalty, which does sound kind of heavy. You're still putting out some offense, but it gives you a +10 to your dodge and parry for the next round until the start of your next round. So it's actually quite nice. So if you are, let's say, a 2-on-1, no one's going to be able to help you for a while, and you feel that you're strong enough to defend yourself, but also want a chance to be able to do some damage, this gives you a opportunity. So it is quite nice. Next is your all-out attack. It's a full round action. Gives you a +22 weapon skill, but you cannot dodge and parry until the start of your next round. So if you're especially like a starting off character and you have a, let's say, like a two-handed weapon, like a great weapon, and you have only one attack per round, this is a great way to get you an automatic +20%, because you don't have an offhand weapon, so you don't have a parry, and if you don't have a dodge skill, you automatically can't dodge. So it is quite nice. Next is your charge attack. You have to move twice your movement. The last 2 squares have to be in a straight line. So if you have a movement of 4 as a human, you can move 6 squares in whatever direction. As long as the 7th and 8th square are straight in a row, you will receive a +10% to your weapon skill. This is quite nice to jump from melee to melee. So let's say you're fighting an enemy, you down them or incapacitate them or straight out kill them, and you have someone close by to you that's getting attacked as well, then you can automatically charge, get a +10 for charging, and then if it's a 2-on-1, you get a +10 for another +10, so you actually get a +20. So it's a great way to actually get around the battlefield and getting attacks out. Next is your utility abilities. So the first one we'll talk about is aim. That is a half action. It gives you a +10 to weapon skill and ballistic skill. So if you have a half action before an attack, you can use that to have a better chance of hitting them. If you don't need any benefits from anything else, it's a great way to still have a parry, but also get a +10 for fighting in combat. Next is your cast skill. The duration is going to vary depending on what spells you're casting, and they're all listed in the spells. This just allows you to cast a spell. Most are going to be a half to a full action. There are some that you'll have to spend several turns casting, but those will be some of the most powerful spells that you'll have in your arsenal. But most of the time, it's a half or full. Also, the next one is going to be skills. You can use your skills in combat. It is going to vary based on your skills. The most prevalent one you're going to be using in combat is your channeling skill. If it's a successful channel, it's half action. It will give a +10. It'll give you a bonus to your casting number equal to your magic characteristic. So if you're looking to have better chance of casting a spell, this will definitely give you a big bonus. Next is your defensive stance. It's a full round action. You take no attacks, but everyone's chance to hit you with weapon skills drops by 20. So if you are very much over surrounded and you just need to get as many misses as possible, a flat 20% chance to miss from everyone is quite nice. And if any attacks go through, you can hopefully rely on your parry or a dodge to make it through. Next is your parrying stance. So if you're using a one-hand weapon with nothing in your offhand, you don't have a shield, or if you're using a great weapon, this will give you an actual parry. So you could still make it a standard attack and then drop into a parry stance, and that's way you can use your weapon to try and defend yourself. It's a fairly even option to go with. It allows you to still get an attack out with no negative modifiers, and it gives you a chance to parry if you have a very strong weapon skill base. This is a great way to just attack out, but also defend yourself as well. Next is just your reloading a weapon. It goes from free, so you can just do it as many times as you want in a round, up to, I think 2 rounds is the longest reload. Actually, no. Sorry, I think it's 6 rounds for repeating pistols, but you can fire multiple times before you have to reload. So, and you also get talents to drop stuff by half action and another half action depending for gunpowder weapons. So it's quite nice. Next is a maneuver. I'll really quickly go into opposed skills. So if you have to roll an opposed skill, it means each have to roll, and whoever get the most success, well, I guess whoever is A for successful. So if one succeeds, one doesn't, you win. If both of you succeed, it's whoever rolled with more net successes. And I would even just go in decimal points at that point. So if you rolled, let's say you need to roll a 50 and you rolled a 31, that'll give you 1.9 successes. And let's say that person had a 50 as well, and they rolled let's say a 32. They had 1.8 successes. So whoever had the 1.9, I would let them win. And then also, let's say you both had a target on 50, and you both rolled a 31. Actually, no, that wouldn't work. So let's say you had one person had a 40 target and rolled 20, and one person had a 50 and they rolled a 30. You both have two net successes, but the person who rolled a 20 rolled lower. I would let them win. Otherwise, you're going to keep rolling against each other back and forth until there's a clear winner. And then these last couple will based on opposed skills. So maneuver, it gives you opposed weapon skills. If the person doing maneuver wins, they can actually move the enemy in one square in any direction. And then the person who did the maneuver can advance by one square. Now, obviously, if they're unsuccessful in the maneuver check, nothing happens. It just ends there. Next, you would have feint. So maneuver is a half action. Feint's a half action. It's an opposed weapon skill once again. And if the person is successful in a feint, their next attack cannot be parry or dodged. Well, you'd have to do the feint first half action, and then attack in the second half action to get the effects of the feint. So if you're fighting someone and they have a shield and they have dodge, you just can't quite land a hit. This is a way of just bypassing all their defensive mechanics and just go straight for the attack. It's fairly risky, but it can pay off pretty well if you get a few lucky rolls. Next is delay. It is just a half action. It saves as a half action that you have to use before the start of your next turn. Obviously, if you don't use it, you lose it. And unlike most other systems, you don't have to set a parameter for what it has to do. You just say, I'm delaying, and then sometime before the next action, you have to use it. So let's say you're holding a half action and someone's going to, let's say, charge. I would make them roll opposed agility checks to see who goes off, or just have them resolve at the same time. So this person hits dealt damage, this person rolls hit damage, and then you just resolve it at the same time. And just gotta go from there. Next would be your reactions. You get some reactions per turn. The main ones I'll be using is parry. If you have an offhand weapon, a shield, or took a parrying stance, it allows you to use your weapon skill. If things have the defensive quality, you get a plus 10. This will allow you to negate a melee attack. So if someone swings their sword, successfully does their weapon skill check, you can use a parry to block out the attack. And then you get next you get dodge. Dodge is an advanced skill. You can only use advanced skills if you're actually trained in them. So some people will just not plainly have a dodge. Dodge works in the same way as parry. You're going to try to negate a melee attack by rolling a dodge skill. It's just, you get a free one of those per turn as long as you're trained in the skill. You get one dodge and one parry per round. You cannot dodge or parry ballistic weapons, and you'll get one of them. You can't try to dodge and parry the exact same attack. You have to pick one. So that's kind of it. That's kind of all your actions you can take in a turn. So one thing I do love about this system is that there are, even if you're just a run-of-the-mill fighter, you're just going heavy into like strength and weapon skills, wearing a big suit of armor, there is a ton of options for you to do. Normally, if you're playing on most systems, you can attack, and then attack, and then attack, and that's it. This way you can be much more strategic about it, giving you plus and minuses. If you get too overwhelmed, you can drop into a defensive stance or guarded attacks, or if you got someone on the ropes and you just need to land an extra hit, you can do an all-out attack, or swing out multiple attacks to just kind of down them. If your friend's getting attacked and you need to get over there quickly, you just do a charge attack and just run over and hopefully try and save them. And there's tons of combinations. I mean, I did mention a few, but there's a ton of other ways you can use these abilities. So if anyone has any interesting combinations, please let me know. Leave a comment below. If you like this content, leave a like. Hopefully you guys subscribe. And I'd love to hear you guys. The next one, I will be covering magic. I promise. We'll pick a school of magic. If there's a specific school of magic you guys want to hear about, leave a comment below, and I will resolve that episode around that school of magic. Or I guess technically it will be a wind of magic. Until then, guys, take care of yourself, and I look forward to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.